a great weekend. It was really beautiful out on Saturday. Yesterday was a little rainy, but we made cookies, and it was a great day to make cookies. But today I want to share this awesome story called We're All in the Same Boat by Zachary Shapiro. And when I read this, I want you to think about what that means about being in the same boat. Okay? It rained and it rained, and it rained so much that Noah had to build an ark to protect all the animals. At first, the animals were excited about their trip. A few days at sea sounds so thrilling, they said to one another. But the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, and the animals were getting restless. The ants were antsy, the bees were bored, the camels were complaining, and the dogs were demanding. The elephants were enraged. The foxes were frantic. The giraffes were grumpy. The hyenas were hysterical. The iguanas were impatient. The jaguars were jittery. The kangaroos were kicking, and the llamas were livid. Does anybody recognize this pattern? The moose were mouthing off. The nightingales were nagging. The orangutans were obnoxious. The penguins were pacing. The quails were quick-tempered. The rabbits were rowdy, and the snakes were squished. The toads were tense, and the umbrella birds were unbalanced. The voles were vexed, and the worms were worried. The oxen were exasperated. The yaks were yelling. The zebras were zoned out, and they all blamed Noah. And Noah took a deep breath, and he hollered, "We're all in the same boat." For the first time, there was silence, and then a funny thing started to happen. The ants apologized, and the bees behaved. The camels were cooperative, and the dogs were diligent, and the elephants were enthusiastic, and the foxes told fables, and the giraffes made gifts. The hyenas were still hysterical. The iguanas invited the jaguars to jam. The kangaroos played kickball, while the llamas laughed. The moose were merry, and the nightingales were neighborly. The orangutans organized their toys. The penguins had a party where the quails quoted rhymes with the rabbits. The snakes stretched, and the toads were tuckered out. The umbrella birds uprighted themselves, and the voles volunteered to keep watch with the worms. The oxen were exhausted, and the yaks began to yawn. The zebras crawled into bed to catch their Z's. And as Noah tucked his animals in for the night, the ark sailed on with a promise of peace. The end. So I love this story about all being in the same boat, meaning that we're all together and we're all connected. And working together and being connected means that we can solve problems and we have solutions. What I also noticed, and I don't know if you guys noticed that pattern, but all the animals' names had an adjective or a descriptive word or an adverb that they were doing, an action word, after that started with the first letter of their name. So, for example, does anyone remember some of them? Owen, do you remember any of them?
I do. The zebras catching their Z's.
Right, zebras and Z's. The bees were bored. The camels were complaining. The elephants were enraged. So I thought this would be super fun to do as an activity at home, that you can take your name and all your family members' names and think of a descriptive word that starts with the same letter. So Owen and I are going to do this, and I took Jill. Can you read that for me, please? Jill is joyful. Owen, can you think of one?
Owen is optimistic because I want to be optimistic in these times.
Owen, I love that one. Owen is optimistic. Can you tell people what optimistic means?
Optimistic means being hopeful, so basically hoping for a good time and not just, thinking about the negatives.
And of course, we're going to do our dog Paige. Paige, you have a thought over there? Paige is, and I think the best word, playful. So, if you can think of one for your name at home, take the first letter of your name and think of a descriptive word. Take your parents' names. You can do your pets' names. You can do grandparents and siblings. And have fun with this. And if you want to make a book and show me at the Zoom meeting on Friday, I would love to see that. I miss you guys so much. I love you and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.